Week 8 of the 2025 season is officially in the books, and this week absolutely sucked. So in today's video, I'm going to go through every single game of week number 8 and give you guys my reaction and opinions of each game. Subscribe and like the video if you do go on to enjoy. Let's hop into it. And we are going to begin with our Thursday night football matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the LA Chargers. Now, of the 11 games we're going to talk about in this video, only one game finished with a final score that was less than 10 points. So every other game, including this one, was complete blowouts. That's why I mentioned that this is a terrible week. Yeah, for the Chargers, look, you went up against the Vikings team that, simply put, has a ton of questions with their offense. They don't have a ground game right now. Their leading rusher on the day was Xavier Scott, who had 2 carries for 16 yards. Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason, they're just not getting the job done. The quarterback room is a complete disaster right now. Carson Wentz was out there just looking completely hobbled the entire game, and for whatever reason, Kevin O'Connell kept him out there when I think Max Brosmer probably gave them a better chance to win this game. JJ McCarthy's probably coming back next week, so I feel like we're going to figure out a lot more as to who Minnesota is once he comes back. But until then, this team, they're in a bit of disarray right now. The NFC North is really competitive, and Minnesota's falling behind. As for the Chargers, really good response game here. You bring back Joe Alt, eventually you're going to get back Amari and Hampton, and that should really open up this offense a lot more. Herbert, for the most part, was able to stay clean in this game. He only got sacked twice. You take away the interception, I thought Herbert had a really positive day out there. 3 touchdowns, 227 yards. They ran the football somewhat effectively. Kamani Vidal, multiple big runs, 23 for 117 and a touchdown. My one complaint about this offense is that we haven't seen Quentin Johnston as much these past few weeks. He was a huge part of that offense earlier in the season, but it feels like he's slowed down quite a bit. But in the absence of Quentin Johnston, we've seen Ladd McConkey really step up, and he had himself a great day. We've also started to see Rondé Gatson really take over that tight end role and play really good in the receiving game. So once you do get Amari and Hampton back, and if you just can play a little bit better on that offensive line, I look at this Chargers team and say they have every piece to be a functional and really good offense. Now, the defense, they got to shore some things up, but they played really good in this one, so hopefully this is a bit of a momentum-building game as they start to look forward to the tougher stretch of their season. Next up, let's talk about the Miami Dolphins blowing out the Atlanta Falcons 34-10. So when Michael Penix Jr. was announced that he wasn't going to play for this game, obviously that threw a bit of a wrench into this thing because I did predict the Falcons to win this game, but even if Penix didn't play, I was going to predict the Falcons to win no matter what. But you throw Kirk Cousins out there, and look, I feel like Kirk did not play well. Now, in fairness to him, he was dealing with a lot of pressure. The team in general just did not play good. Bijan Robinson, probably the worst game of the season for him. 9 carries for 25 yards and a fumble. The passing game just didn't really open up much. He didn't have Drake London, so he relied a bit more on Kyle Pitts, but they just didn't get the job done. Without your 2 probably best players in the offense, not named Bijan, London, and Penix, the offense was just always going to be bad. But still, only scoring 10 points versus a Miami team that's given up a crap ton of points to everyone else is very disappointing, especially when you do have Bijan Robinson available. And defensively speaking, just a complete disaster from this Falcons defense. Falcons defense has actually been really good this year, but for whatever reason in this one, they just did not show up. Tagovailoa, probably the best game of the season for him, and he did that with an eye injury of sorts. I don't know what was happening. Got a little bit in the sheets, but he had his best game though. 20 of 26 for 205, 4 touchdowns. Made a lot of nice throws out there. I think one of his best throws was that throw to Jalen Waddle on the big touchdown pass. Made a lot of really nice plays. They ran the ball decently well. Waddle had a really solid game, just under 100 yards. And defensively speaking, they made life really difficult for that Falcons offense. They stuffed the run, which has been an issue for them, and they were tight in coverage, and they got after the quarterback a little bit. So positive day here for the Miami Dolphins. Let's see if they can build on this. They're clearly not a playoff contender, but I don't know, maybe they can try and fight a little bit more to get a few more wins. Not taking much from this game though. You went up against the backup quarterback, so let's see it. If this Dolphins team is turning it around, let's see if they can go on a run. Next up, let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens blowing out the Chicago Bears. Now, this game was probably the second closest game of the week. Like, this game was a 1-score game throughout most of this game. It was 10-6 heading into halftime, 16-6 heading into the 4th quarter, and then Chicago got a few things going. Really disappointing game from the Chicago Bears. You go up against a Baltimore team that, yeah, they got a bit more healthy on defense, but still no Lamar Jackson, and that defense gave up 30 points, and I thought Caleb Williams did not play very well. Now, in defense of Caleb, there was some other issues with this team. The running game was horrendous. I feel like pass protection wasn't the best in the world, but I'm not going to give Caleb too many excuses here. That interception he threw to Roma Dunze, bad throw. He made a couple nice plays, and I felt like he gave his team some chances to make some plays as well. But when it comes down to it, when you're going up against the Baltimore Ravens, you got to play better than what he did, and didn't feel like he played very well. Same thing with the ground game. They're going to be a team that looks to upgrade that room in the offseason. I just can't trust DeAndre Swift or Kyle Monangai to be my lead backs at this point. They're not great. And against Baltimore, who got a bit healthier on defense, they weren't going to perform that well. Now, for Baltimore's side of things, I think the biggest question that comes from me is, why did they start Cooper Rush in the first place? Like, Tyler Huntley's been the third string quarterback the entire year, and he's been on Baltimore in years past. I don't know why he wasn't the starter when Lamar Jackson got injured. I mean, I'm not saying Tyler Huntley had a great game, but 17 of 22, a touchdown, 186 yards. He can run a little bit. I just feel like he's a better fit in this system than a guy like Cooper Rush. Yes, I know Cooper has had some great years in Dallas as a backup, but I don't care. A scheme fits a scheme fit, and Huntley clearly fits this scheme, so I don't understand why he didn't play in these past matchups. Maybe they would have won a couple of them. They're 2-5. I mean, Derrick Henry had a good game. You bring back Roquan Smith. He had a nice day. Nate Wiggins with an interception. I thought Malachi Starks played pretty well. They need to go on a bit of a run here, especially when they get Lamar back, because if they're going to make the playoffs or get things interesting in the AFC North, they got to go on a run because they are really in a hole right now. We'll see if they can bounce back, man. Let's see if they can keep the ball rolling. Next up, our closest game of the week, and obviously the most fun game of the week, the New York Jets come from behind to defeat the Cincinnati Bengals 39-38. Well, the New York Jets are officially on the board here with the victory, and I think the biggest thing I want to talk about in this portion is what a missed opportunity for Cincinnati, but also what a great moment for Justin Fields. Now, let's focus on Cincinnati here. Look, Cincinnati was controlling this game for the most part. I mean, they had a 24-13 lead at halftime. Then you had a 31-16 lead heading into the fourth quarter. I mean, you basically were controlling this game. And against a Jets offense that has been completely inept for most of the season, like, you should have just been able to run the ball, chew the clock, and find a way to win this game, but they didn't. Now, I don't want to put any of the blame on Joe Flacco here. Flacco had a fine day. 21 of 34 for 223, 2 touchdowns. They ran the ball decently well. There's a couple really nice plays from Chase Brown. You know, each of the running backs had a touchdown, Samaje and Chase Brown. Jamar Chase, another nice day. No really productivity from T. Higgins outside of the touchdown, but he also had a big play out there. It's just a missed opportunity here from this defense. Not being able to slow down Justin Fields in this offense is really bizarre. I mean, this has been a terrible offense for the entire year, yet you give up 23 in the fourth quarter. And again, I want to talk about it. This is a huge missed opportunity. You had a chance to enter into week 9, 4-4, waiting for Joe Burrow to return. And if you were, close to 500 when Burrow returns, that's a team that could potentially make a run for the playoffs. But now you're 3-5. You dug a nice little hole for yourself. You're going to have to respond and bounce back these next few weeks. Next week, you do have the Bears, then you have the Steelers, but then you have a tough run after that of Patriots, Ravens with Lamar, Josh Allen, and the Bills, and then the Ravens again. Like, that's a tough stretch to be asking your quarterback to return into. It's just a bad missed opportunity here for the Bengals. Now, on the Jets side of things, look, sometimes for a bad football team, seeing a win is a really positive sign that they're still fighting, that they're still, building something. I thought there were some comments made by Aaron Glenn throughout the week that were kind of confusing, but he also made a point of that this team needs to learn how to win. And I feel like this is one of those, building blocks you can kind of build off of. This Jets team kind of gives me some vibes. Now, they're not as talented, but they give me some similar vibes to that Lions team that was losing every single game, and sometimes they got blown out, but sometimes they were competitive. And then they finally got that win, and then they started rattling off a few more wins. I wouldn't be shocked if we see this Jets team start to rattle off a few more wins. I'm not going to, call them the next Lions or anything like that, but getting a win like this, a come from behind win, a game in which your quarterback played very well, a game in which you ran the ball very well, some of these receivers made some plays, like, that could be a building block to sort of build off of. And, as you're going into the back half of the season, the second half, maybe you can start to look at this game and sort of say, hey, guys, we can actually win football games. We've shown that we can do it. Let's see if they can build off of this. That's kind of the moral of this week for a lot of teams. Next up, let's talk about the Buffalo Bills completely destroying the Carolina Panthers. I'm not going to talk too much about this one because really there's not a lot to talk about. James Cook had a huge game out there, 216 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns. Khalil Shakir made a bunch of nice plays, 6 for 88 and a touchdown. And Josh Allen didn't have to be Superman, but when he was asked to make plays, he made plays over and over and over. This game was over by halftime. Now, on the Panthers side of things, I was kind of optimistic about their chances of actually pulling off an upset here because the Bills had lost 2 in a row. They're coming off a bye, and they've shown weaknesses on the defense in terms of they've given up some rushing yards. And you look at what Carolina has done the past 3 weeks, where Rico Dallas had some really big games. They've been able to run the football. I kind of felt like that was going to be the recipe here. Chew the clock, run the football effectively, and, limit possessions for Josh Allen and James Cook. And it just never came to fruition. The first half game plan I thought was a little weird. I thought Dalton played pretty bad. He had a couple just bad sacks that were just very unfortunate. He got sacked 7 times. I would say a few of them were on Andy Dalton, just being, almost 35, 36 years old. If they had Bryce Young, I think they would have made this game a little bit closer, but I mean, this was a complete blowout. Turnovers, sacks, a lot of punts, just a bad game for Carolina. And this game kind of reminded you of Carolina in the first few weeks and not the past couple. I want to see a response from Carolina. Bad loss this week. I mean, bad loss. Can they make this next game a bit more competitive? Because they're going to have to respond. They have the Packers next week, then the Saints and the Falcons. I want to see them go 2-1 in that stretch. Let's see if they can do it. Next up, let's talk about the Houston Texans defeating the San Francisco 49ers 26-15. This Texans defense is absolutely legit, and they are even better when their offense is functional. When this offense can chew the clock like they did in this game, I'm talking 41 minutes of time of possession for the Texans, and it just kind of sucked the life out of San Francisco. San Francisco didn't really have a terrible day on the offensive end. It wasn't necessarily great, but the fact they only had the ball for 18 minutes really limited their possessions. It limited their time to even make things happen because, man, Stroud and that offense, they were just making enough plays. They were running the football decently enough. Stroud was making some nice third down throws and just keeping their offense on the field. They only punted the ball twice. They had 23 first downs, 9 of 16 on third down, 1 for 1 on fourth down. Just keeping that offense on the field, even if it took, years to score points. If you can eat up 5 to 7+ minutes on the clock, it limits the amount of times that the opponent offense can get into a rhythm and score points of their own. And in this game, it felt like everything kind of came together. I thought Stroud had a really nice day out there. I think this is his first game over 300 yards in over a year, so shout out to him. Xavier Hutchinson had a really big day. Jalen Noel, of course, Woody Marks is starting to become fully integrated into this offense, and it's nice to see. Now, when it comes to the Texans defense, I mean, they made a ton of plays. Mac Jones threw an interception, had a couple sacks. They just made life very difficult for Mac Jones, made them try to work the field. They had to pass the ball a lot because the run game just wasn't going. And this was just a masterclass of owning time of possession and playing good defense. Not a flashy game, kind of a boring game, but when it matters most, you get the win. So shout out to the Houston Texans. As for San Francisco, they got some work to do. They're 5-3. The division's still completely up in the air if they can go on a run. Let's see if they can respond from this loss. Next up, let's talk about the New England Patriots defeating the Cleveland Browns 32-13. This was a completely embarrassing performance from the Browns from top to bottom, because when you have a guy in Myles Garrett who has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 total sacks and basically completely destroys the Patriots offense for what felt like most of the game, and yet you can only manage 13 points on the offense. I mean, it's ridiculous. This Patriots offense scored 9 points in the first half. 9. Of course, they scored 21 in the third, but at that point, it's a 9-7 ball game, and that Browns offense just can't do nothing. Dylan Gabriel had his worst game of the season, and I thought it was pretty ugly from the start. 21 of 35 for 156, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks. 2 very bad picks at that. Harold Fannin has some nice plays. Devin Njoku has some nice plays. Jerry Jeudy's just a complete nothing burger at this point. They have to be able to get receiving production from these guys. They're going to be looking in the draft for some help there for sure. I mean, this is just a bad performance. I don't know if you throw Shador out there. I don't know if Shador makes a difference in this game. I'm not saying he would. I'm not saying he won't, but just a bad performance from the Browns. As for the Patriots side of things, like, look, giving up 5 sacks and winning by 19 points is pretty impressive. But look, Myles Garrett destroyed that offensive line. Will Campbell had a tough day out there. Even when he was getting help, he had a tough day. Wasn't just him, though. It was sometimes with the right tackle. It was a left guard. They could not block that guy to save their life. Still, though, Travion Henderson had a couple big runs, 10 for 75. And I thought when Drake May got time to make some throws down the field, he made some really nice plays. He finished the day 18 of 24 for 282, 3 touchdowns, and a pick. Matt Collins had a really good game. I thought defensively they played very, very well. Robert Spillane with a big day for him out there. I mean, this is a really good day for the Patriots, but that pass protection has to be better. They're 6-2. You look at the remaining parts of their schedule, they got the Falcons, the Bucks, the Jets, the Bengals, and then the Giants. I could see them realistically winning all 5 of those games, but, that Buccaneers game's going to be tough. I mean, if they go 4-1 in that stretch, I mean, this is going to be a team that has a real fight on with the Bills for that AFC East. It's going to be really interesting. Next up, let's talk about the Philadelphia Eagles going up against the New York Giants. For starters, man, it sucks that Cam Scatterbo is probably out for the season. Very gruesome injury. And, when you lose the heart and soul of your offense, just kind of sucks everything out of this team. I thought Dart made some plays out there, and it wasn't a great game from him. He was 14 of 24 for 193. But without Malik Neighbors and now without Cam Scatterbo, I mean, the weapons in this offense just are not sufficient for our young, developing quarterback. And that's really tough, but it's a tough situation for Brian Daboll and this Giants team. They were in this game. This game was by no means a blowout for most of the day. Like, the Giants had opportunities to get into this game, but they just didn't have the guys. They don't have their running back. They don't have their wide receiver one. And when you're going up against an Eagles team that figured some things out in the run game today, because Saquon had a huge day, I mean, when you're going up against that type of offense, it's really tough. No A.J. Brown today, but Devontae Smith played very well. Thought Hurts had a very good game. 15 of 20 for 179 and 4 touchdowns. I will say there was a tush push that should have went to a fumble that maybe could have gave the Giants some momentum. Still, though, you have to respond. You have to play better. I also felt like there was a couple really bad calls as well. There was an offensive pass interference called on the Giants that was in no way, shape, or form should have been called. I want to say that went for a touchdown or a very big gain. Some questionable officiating in this one for sure, though I'm not sure if the officiating going one way or the other makes a difference in this game. The Giants just didn't make enough plays. They just didn't. I thought the defense didn't play very well. And again, without your main guy on the offense, it's really tough. As for Philadelphia, good response here in this game versus the Giants. You got punked by them a few weeks ago, and this week you kind of punked them. Again, so questionable officiating. I don't think that, that changed the game too much, but you never know. Good to see Saquon get going, and also good to see Tank Bigsby make a couple of nice runs as well. If they can get this run game going, I hate to say it, but Philadelphia is going to be a really tough team to beat, especially come playoff time. And with this defense playing well enough, they're a really freaking good team. Next up, let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeating the New Orleans Saints 23-3. Back-to-back really rough games for Spencer Rattler. He threw an interception, he had a fumble, he got hit, knocked up a lot. It's just another rough game. He had a bad week last week, and I kind of wonder now if the Saints are going to look at this and say we just can't trust Rattler now after, 2 really bad games. Do we go ahead and throw Tyler Shock out there, who, didn't really do a bunch out there? He had an interception, 17 of 30 for 128. I don't think he's the guy either, frankly, but I'm also in the train of thought that they probably need to rock with these two guys for the rest of the season and probably into next year as well, and give them a shot to, earn the starting job, because they're not a quarterback away. They're several pieces away. This offense just doesn't have an identity. You would think it would be giving the rock to Alvin Kamara as many times over and over again, but Kamara has just kind of been a no-show this year, and it's not really all his fault. I also don't think the scheme's been particularly great for him so far this year. And in this game, only 6 carries for 21 yards and only 2 catches for 24. Really would like to see Alvin be a bit more involved in the offense, especially when it comes to just getting them out of a funk. Kamara's the veteran of this offense. I don't know. I feel like giving him the rock would make some sense. Still, though, this offense, only 3 points on the day, multiple turnovers, a lot of sacks, just bad football. This is not a great offense. As for Tampa Bay, I mean, look, wasn't it a great game in all reality? Like, Baker was 15 of 24 for 152. He's really, slowing down these past few weeks, but in his defense, the injuries on this offense are kind of killer. You did have a Mecca in this game, but again, Mike Evans, I think he's out for the year or something like that, so that's really tough. It also feels like without Bucky Irving, this offense just lacks a run game too. So, when they get Bucky back, and if they can get some other pieces back too, I think this offense should bounce right back. But, the defense really held their own in this one. The defense made multiple plays. They put points up on the board, and this offense just kind of coasted throughout the day. They got the job done. They were far from bad, but there's definitely more in the tank here for this Buccaneers offense that, they definitely have more to show. But in this game, they didn't really have to show it because the defense did the job for them mostly. Next up, let's talk about the Tennessee Titans losing 38-14 to the Indianapolis Colts. Look, I'm not going to beat around the bush. This is a very straightforward game. This Colts team is simply put the best team in the NFL right now, with an offense that simply put cannot be stopped. Daniel Jones, yet again, just another monstrous day out there. 21 of 29 for 272 and 3 touchdowns. We got to see Riley Leonard get some snaps out there too. Jonathan Taylor is running away with the Offensive Player of the Year award. Bijan Robinson, Puka Nacua, maybe JSN. I guess he's still in the conversation, but Jonathan Taylor is completely running away with this thing. Another huge day out there. 12 carries for 153 and 2 touchdowns. You also add on 2 catches for 21 yards and another touchdown, a 3-touchdown game for a dude who's having a monstrous season. Michael Pittman, big game. Tyler Warren, big game. Defensively, they made some plays out there. Neville Gallimore with the sack. Ada Bawaria sack. I hope I said that right. Kenny Moore with a half sack. I mean, DeForest Buckner with the sack too. I mean, they were able to get after the quarterback, and the Colts are just a good team, and Tennessee is not a good team. Tennessee is an offense that is completely void of talent. Shamir DK made some nice plays. Good to see the young guy get some run. The run game is just meh. It's not bad. Like, Tyjae Spears, 9 for 59 with a touchdown. Tony Pollard, 11 for 44. It's not bad, but they're not good. They don't execute well. They're not good on 3rd down. They're not good. Definitely not good on the 4th down. They're not good when they get into the red zone. They're just not a good team. And I kind of feel bad for Cam Ward. And the defense sucks too. And our last game to talk about, the Dallas Cowboys get destroyed 44-24 against the Denver Broncos. Now, we do have 2 more games. Tonight, we have the Sunday Night Football between the Packers and the Steelers, and the Commanders and Chiefs play on Monday. Hopefully we get some fun games out of this. That would be pretty nice. I'm not counting on it though. That said, I will get some reactions to those on my Twitter and Instagram. Go ahead and check them out. MetroSports YT on both platforms. They're brand new, trying to get those things built out. Now, when it comes to Dallas and Denver, look, I predicted Dallas to win this game because I always live in the philosophy that offense always outbeats a defense. And in this game, I was kind of wrong. The Dallas Cowboys offense did not play very good out there, and that was with Surtain dealing with an injury. Dak, 19 of 31 for 188 and 2 interceptions. Definitely not the game he wanted to play, even though I thought he made some nice throws. He had a couple bad ones. Now, one of the interceptions was at the end of the half. How much do you take into that? Not too sure, but not giving Dak any excuses. I didn't think he played particularly well. Shout out Joe Milton. He had a nice touchdown drive late in the game. Javonte made some plays. He had 2 touchdowns, but nothing really explosive. Not a great ground game today. And Jaden Blue had a fumble, but 8 for 29. I think the Cowboys recovered that fumble, so not too bad. Pickens had a nice day. CD had a nice day, but it just wasn't enough. By the way, CD was kind of cooking. Riley Moss had several pass interferences and just holdings, things like that. But against CD Lamb, I would do the same thing, so I don't really blame the guy. Still, though, this Cowboys offense, despite actually not playing particularly terrible, 339 total yards in the day, just didn't get enough from the ground game. And look, when you have a defense that gives up 44 to Bo Nix and an offense that has been kind of lifeless for most of the year, it's just hard to win games. This Cowboys defense is awful. I mean, they are so bad. And for all the Cowboys fans, including, look, myself in some ways, that think, man, if they just didn't trade Micah Parsons, guys, I hate to break it to you. If the Cowboys had Micah, they would still be probably the worst defense in the NFL. Micah Parsons is just not the guy who could save this defense. There's not a single player you can throw on this defense and save this defense. Maybe besides like a Pat Surtain, but that not even that guy can save this defense. It is a terrible scheme. The coach is inept, not Schottenheimer. He's a great head coach, great offensive mind. But Eberflus is really struggling to figure out this defense, and he just doesn't have the guys. Like, their leading tackler was Elijah Clark. I'm a Cowboys fan. I don't even know who Elijah Clark is. And Triqueze Bridges and, Reddy Stewart. Like, these are guys that are in your secondary getting a lot of playing time that just shouldn't be out there. But, here we are. Hopefully they get some other guys like Savone Ravel, Marvin Overshown back, and maybe they make a trade for an edge rusher. But I just don't think this defense is good enough. I think they are so bad that even though this Cowboys offense is really good, there's nothing they can really do. As for Denver, good to see this offense get rolling. Bo Nix made a couple of really nice plays. Look, I don't want to give too much credit to this offense because when I kid you not, every time there was a big play, the guy was open by like 15 yards. And, you can obviously give a ton of credit to Sean Payton, a credit for Bo Nix to making those throws. But sometimes it's just, you are just a better unit than the opposing team. And the Cowboys defense is pathetically bad. They ran the football well. RJ Harvey, 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins, a big day. I mean, look, shout out to this Broncos offense. They beat up on the worst defense in football. That's sort of the bottom line here. But still, good game. Shout out to that defense. Even without Surtain for most of it, they held their own and did a really good job versus a really good Cowboys offense. But you guys let me know your thoughts about week 8 of the 2025 NFL season. Again, not a fun week, definitely the worst week so far, but you let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed, hit the like and subscribe button. Love you guys. Peace.